Hi, this is Emma, your computer animation TA speaking, and in episode 2, I'm going to teach you more ways of how to use your logic bricks to create your Blender game. And what we covered in last episode was that we were able to create the base of our background and have our player be able to shoot bullets at our enemy. You'll notice that the bullets won't be disappearing when you press the space bar. So to fix that, we are going to go into our other layer and we are going to add a collision sensor. So it's going to detect a collision with our magenta enemy. And to do that, we're going to add collision sensor and make sure it's M/P, so it's detecting for material, and select our magenta enemy here. And we're going to select edit object, end object. Then once we connect these, it will show that when you press P and the space bar, it's getting rid of our bullet. So now what you're going to want to do is, this isn't really what we want, we don't want the enemy to continuously take our bullets, but now we're going to add a collision and it's going to detect for our bullet, not as a property. We're going to do our bullet. I'll teach you how to do properties probably later on, but I'm just going to stick with materials since it's just more easier and familiar to work with. So what it's going to do is that once our bullet hits our enemy, it's going to make an explosion. And to do that, we're going to replace it with another mesh of a explosion. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to Shift D, duplicate this, and bring it over here. Then we're going to name it Explosion Effect, because this is what it's going to be. And I'll just make a new material, Explosion Effect. We're going to name that as well. Dexterity, all the way down, shadeless, and might as well make it as bright as we can. So now this was easier, so then the sizing isn't weird or anything. We're just going to take this and delete out every single one of these pieces except for this one. And we're going to delete out those faces, then create this one again. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take this face after we have moved it to a better little place so then we can have our measuring right. We're going to extrude out to the right once, then take the top and extrude up once. Then I'm going to take this, extrude out to the right once, and extrude up to the up, I guess, up to the up once. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete these faces out. If you really wanted, you could try to separate by selection, then move this over, let's say here, then shift click on this, Control J, then join it back. You could do it like that, or you could just delete those out, make a new one of these, whatever you'd like. And now we're going to recreate these spaces. So let's do that really quickly. I should make my scroll wheel bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, so now that we're done this, I'm probably first going to take this block and duplicate it upwards. Let's say to here. And then we're going to take this piece of left and extrude out twice. Now take this and move it down just about to here. Then like this. I might even make it a little bit more. Okay, now what we're going to do is that we're going to Shift D. We're going to duplicate this and rotate on the y-axis by 180. So that's going to do like a mirror kind of illusion. And I'm going to bring it out possibly this far. Then we can take our whole bottom pieces, then Shift D, R by on the x-axis by 180. Then bring this up to here. And yeah, that's what our explosion effect's going to look like. If you want, you can edit this to be closer or further away, whatever way you think is best. But we're gonna now go to here and see how this is cube. We want to change that to explosion effect. And you'll see why in just a second. So we can just keep it here because we don't really want that in the shot. But now we can go here and house is replace mesh. We're now going to click on our explosion effect and connect the both of these. So this is what it should look like so far. It should look something like this. And if you forgot to change the rotation point, it would look like this. So to fix that, we can just go back, go into edit mode, and reposition our rotation axes. So it's gonna look more cleaner like that. So now you've noticed it just stays as an explosion and we don't want that. So we're gonna make it only last for a little time and then it's gonna go backwards very slowly. And to do that, we're gonna have to go back into our default view. And then we are going to, I'm gonna say since this is pretty long when you're animating it, it should last like around 2000 to 3000 frames. I'm gonna go all the way to frame 5000 just to be sure. And, oh, wrong thing. You have to go to here, go to frame 5000, and we're going to lock out the scale, then move this up by 20, so it's 5020, and we're going to move this piece all the way down just so that it barely goes down. We're going to lock out scale, and that's what our animation is going to look like for when our bullet collides with our magenta enemy. So I'm going to move this back to frame 1. Then we're going to select this, go back into game logic, and we are going to add another actuator. And this one's going to be an action actuator, which you can already kind of picture what it does. But if you select on this, it will show our only action that we have right now, so that should be easy to navigate. And we want this to start on frame 5000 and end on frame 5020. So if we connect these, it should look something like that. And then it gets rid of itself by going downwards. And if you go into side view, you can see better. It goes down. So then it doesn't, interact or like do anything weird. So this is for if you want your player to like not have any glitches or lags. So I'm going to suggest doing this one. But later on in like probably the last episode, I'll show you how to do a moving one that has probably more lags, but it's way more funner to play. More fun or funner, however you want to say that. But yeah, so that's what we have so far. Let's go back into our default view and frame 5020. Let's actually go to our dope sheet. And once we're at our dope sheet, let's go all the way to frame 5000. It's right here. And let's move this over. Oh, let's delete this. Delete keyframes. Go back to 3D view. So it should look like this. And I'll make it 525 and make it go down even more. So let's see what that looks like. I gotta dope sheet, and then let's see if that looks better. So let's go back to game logic and action, get rid of that and add it back. Then default, go to frame 1, game logic, and then 525. So I hope that doesn't disappear too quickly. I think that's fine. Okay. So if I went like this, that's better. Yeah, don't put it too close up high, or it's not gonna turn out well. And I might even scale this on the x-axis a bit more, because it's a bit high. Okay, that should be good. So we're gonna be having to use this quite a bit. Okay, so let's get started. So firstly, I'm gonna be going to our game scene, and I'm gonna go to our bullet. So for our bullet, we're going to have to add a lot of sensors and actuators, and probably new ones, hopefully, and how to use them. So I'm probably going to want to, actually, let's start off with modeling. So I'm just gonna model 2 more enemies, and yeah, so let's shift D and move and bring this upwards to possibly around here. I can even possibly bring this down as well. And we're gonna call this the magenta enemy 001. We're gonna name it cyan enemy. I can put this in lowercase, or let's do uppercase. Okay, so our cyan enemy is obviously going to have to be cyan. So let's make a new material and call it cyan enemy. Now let's make a cyan looking color, or whatever you think looks cool. I like this color, and let's make this a shapeless as well. So in edit mode, once again, let's delete out all of these. Press Z on your keyboard to go into wireframe so you can see and view the pieces better. I'm going to delete those faces out and create that one that we were missing. So now let's reposition this maybe about here, I would say. And let's actually go like this. I'll bring it down here. Okay, so now we're gonna grab this right side or right face of our cyan enemy, and we're going to extrude to the right by 10 squares. There should be a total of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I might quickly. Okay. So now that we're done that, we are going to select these pieces, excluding these two, and we're going to extrude down twice, it looks like. So 1, 2, and now we would like to select these middle 5, I'm pretty sure, yes, 5, and extrude down by 1. So now we're going to select these these shapes, and we're going to delete these out. And like always, we're going to have to recreate these faces. And to do it faster, I suggest making your area larger so then you can have more cover space. Select these faces, and we're going to extrude up by 1 and 1 more again, the same kind of idea like this. Extrude up by 1, and let's make our eyes. Delete these faces out and recreate them. And it's important that we recreate these faces because since they're thicker on the z-axis, it's going to show once it'll be like this kind of angle, and we don't really want to see those little spaces uncovered. But yeah, okay, so we're almost done. This one's really easy. So we're going to select these two, and we're going to extrude up by 2. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to select these pieces right here, and we're going to delete these out. So it should look like this. And this guy might look pretty familiar to you. And now we're going to, in edit mode, recreate these faces. Okay. So now that we have this one done, I suppose we can move on to the other one. It's really easy for this guy, and we can reposition its rotation point to be in the middle. And yeah, okay, so let's create our green enemy. So Shift D, bring it upwards to about probably here. This should be okay. And we can always rearrange everything if it doesn't look too much that we want it to look like. And let's name this green enemy. I spelled enemy wrong, sorry. Okay. And let's make a new material for this and call it green enemy. Intensity down, shadeless, and obviously we're gonna make this a green color. I might even make it more green. And you can also use this color, this little tool, and bring it up. Is another way you can do it. Find the same colors, and So this one's gonna be like a squid kind of shape. So let's delete out these and pick the easiest kind of square to remodel, preferably one that has only one of its sides missing. So let's recreate that. Okay, so for the green one, we're going to have to extrude to the right about, let's say 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there should be 8. And now let's select this bottom and extrude down by 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Now this shape is a little tricky, but okay. So we're going to select this kind of shape. And right here, here, let's say down here. I think this should be okay. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay. So now we're going to have to remake these faces. This one's a bit more harder to find the pieces you're missing. Okay, now I have to do these. Okay, I haven't done those yet. Okay, so now that we're done the bottom half, we can start on the top. And let's just go by selecting the whole top of these faces and extruding up by 1. Then we're going to deselect the outer 2 and extrude up by 1. Then we can get rid of these, extrude up by 1. And then you can do that for the last step as well, and extrude up by 1. So it should look like this. And obviously we need our little eyeballs, so we can delete out those faces and recreate them. Oh, my game just froze. Sorry. Okay, so pretty sure we're done with our enemies, except for that we have to fix this rotation point. And the rotation point that it should be somewhat in this little circle, just so it's easier to kind of see where you're supposed to go. But yeah, so we've created these, and I guess now we can go onto our point system, or we could instead. Oh, I'm not fully sure if I showed you this yet, but if we create this kind of idea that we have here, I'll just recreate one. If we select here, Shift A, add a cube, scale on the x-axis, and scale on the y a little bit, then we can move it down just when it's barely below this, and we can have it whenever you like, I like to move mine up a little bit and have it like about this much room. And for this, we're gonna name it Limit Wall. And our material is also gonna be called Limit Wall. Okay, and obviously, again, shadeless on and our specularity down. And we want this to blend in, so let's go for a black color. So now, just like this, as you can guess, a limit wall, kind of in this kind of idea, is that it's going to create for the bullet, instead of going like, keep on going, it's going to erase it when it has a collision with our limit wall. So if we go to our bullet, we can add a collision m/p with the material limit wall and have an edit object actuator and have it end object. So since I already made one, I'm just going to get rid of it. And let's move this back down. I hope I didn't do anything or mess with anything. Okay. So as you can see, one sec, it will get rid of it, just like that. So I couldn't fix the sound glitch. For some reason, it might just be my computer, but this should work for you guys. I don't know why it's not working on mine, but I'm just gonna exclude it so we can actually get rid of these sound actuators. Okay, so let's go to our default view, and in here, dope sheet, and let's get rid of these. Okay, so let's delete these out. Video keyframes, 3D view, and let's move these guys back to their proper locations. Okay, I think this should look okay for now. I might do a little bit more. Okay, now when you're happy, we're going to go back to, let's have it at 5,000 again. And I lock out scale all these, and then go to 5,025, and inside view, which is 3 on your numpad, we're going to select all of these and bring them down to here. So let's see how this plays out. I lock out scale, and let's go back to frame 1. And then we'll go to game logic. For here, let's exit that out and create our new selected animation. This one should be cyan. I wonder if, let's try this one, the 0.003, because that's the most recent. And let's go to green for this one. Okay, and you'll also notice how there's still those bullets remaining after they collide into the new enemies we created. And that's because we haven't added a material collision to our bullet. So you'll see how there's one for limit wall. I'll move this up like that so it's easier to locate. Move this up and this up. Okay, so now we're gonna add 2 more collision sensors. And we can name this magenta collision or magenta coal. And this will be cyan coal. And this one will be green coal. Okay, so now we can just apply our materials to them. So this one we have cyan, this one as green. And for these, we can just connect them to here. And these will all make it an object. So just make sure it worked. Let's go and play this by pressing P. So it looks like instead we're going to have to go like this. This might look better. Okay, that's better. Okay, and there are a few glitches. I do admit that it's way more less glitchy as the moving enemy one. Okay, so let's minimize these. And I guess we can also, let's select here our background and have an always sensor and a scene actuator. And mode will be add overlay scene. So what this will do is when we select score, when we play our animation, it should show our score right here. Let's make this also a text game property to set up our camera. Okay. So let's do that. And to do that, you press Control Alt 0 on your keyboard. And you can also, like another easier way to move your camera is by pressing Shift F, which puts you in fly mode and you can kind of move around. I might also move this upwards and scale on the x-axis just to fix it up a little. Let's move this over. And we might actually have to scale this up even more later on. Okay, let's do that right now. So I think this should be okay. And now let's just adjust this and move this up to the side. And okay. So I guess that should be good for now. And let's see if it does work. Oh, I forgot we have to set up our camera as well. Okay, so we need to go here, select our camera, Control Z, and go to score, Control V, and this should work. There we go. So you see our scoreboard shows up. Okay, so I think what I might do is that since the score does go up, I might move it over a little bit. So let's go to score, move it over a tiny bit, go to game, way. I might move it more this way. Okay, I think that should be good for now. So now we're gonna go on to more coding for the scores and like stuff like that. So let's go to our bullet. We can get out of our camera mode and let's create message actuators. So we need 3 of these since we have 3 enemies. And so all for these, all you have to do is in subject, write got magenta enemy. That's all you have to do. Then you want to connect this with your magenta collision. Then for this one, got cyan enemy. And connect this to your cyan collision. Minimize. Then this should be got green enemy. Okay, so now we can connect this to here. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for our bullet. And now we can go to our score and we can add for, let's say, this guy, we can add a text game property and have this as an integer. And we need to add our 3 message sensors since we had our actuators done. So for the subject, you want to type got magenta enemy and got cyan enemy, then got green enemy. Okay, so now that we're done this side, we can go on to here and we're going to be using our properties. So if we add 3 properties, I might add another one later for our winner screen. So let's have the property as text. So apply all of these. And let's have for every magenta enemy you eliminate, that'll give you 10 points or a score of 10. And for every cyan enemy, let's make it 20 and 30 for green enemies. So now we can connect these like so. And we can minimize these ones. Then we can add a property right here, have evaluation type as equal, and property text, then value. Let's make it every 400. So once the player achieves 400, it should show a scene that says winner. So we can have this as add overlay scene. And once we create our winner screen, then this will pop up. So we can do that in our next episode because I'm trying to minimize every episode to at least 30 or so minutes. So yeah, thank you for watching this episode. In the next one, we will get to add our little panel here with our controllers that move, and we'll be able to move our character too. Okay, see you in the next lesson/episode.